Michael Washington, Mark is being a pompous ass before we came on air, and Mark Honest.
I mean, you are. I'm not. I mean, you are.
Eli Manuel.
Why would you draft a wide receiver, too?
Eli, you can cut this out.
You can leave it in, too.
Restart.
Kyler Murray has a fantastic arm. It's just the decision-making for him, for me. Michael Vick just made better decisions, I feel like, overall.
Makes sense. I said 1 or 2 inches, growing 1 or 2 inches, and you're like...
And he's still going...
I have leagues on too many apps. I don't know what to follow.
Welcome to another episode of Dynasty Academy here on the Shady Sports Network. I'm Michael Washington. Mark is with us. Eli Manuel, that beautiful face right there. He is back. Welcome back, Eli. How are you? Class is now in session. All right. Let's see. We discussed this. Well, first of all, Eli, how you been, man? You haven't been around for the last few weeks. And I know you've had some personal stuff going on. Doing all right, yeah? All right.
I've got an RV that's half working that we're trying to fix, so we'll get there next week.
For sure, no doubt. Eli, while you were gone, we went through free agency. I don't know if you caught any of the shows or not, and we did a little bit of the free agency stuff and talked about the impact of coordinators and whatnot and what they might have in certain offenses. So that's pretty much what you missed there. Yeah, that's it.
We're excited to be here tonight.
Right. Tonight we're going to do some Dynasty trades for you. We're going to talk about, give our advice with Dynasty trades and our advice and some. Mark scoured the deepest corners of the internet or just basically went on X and discover. Let's see, I called it X. Look at that. Yeah, and went and found some trades to offer us, to serve up to us. But before we do that, Mark, we did have one user submission. We did have one. The user submission was a 12-team full-point PPR. It's a 12-start league. I don't know if that matters to you or not, but the tight end premium is actually only 1.25. No points per carry. And it was Kendre Miller and Devontae Smith for Rashee Rice and Jackson Smith Nigba.
Hold on. Before you move on, did they list what the 12 spots are?
That's what I'm wondering.
So the 12 spots were, I think it was running back, wide receiver, flex, and then 3 super flex.
Oh, it's 3 super flex, so no tight end.
No tight, or it might, no, sorry, 1 tight end, and cut off one of those flexes. So 3 flex and 3 super flex. So
it's
2 running backs, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, and
so
then
there's no actual quarterback position? 3
flex and then 3 super flex. No quarterback position. So
you don't have to actually start a quarterback.
You don't have to start a quarterback.
Okay.
Obviously, and for the viewers out there watching live tonight as well, before Mark answers this question, Eli answers this question. Where was I going with this? I don't even remember now. Shit.
Read the players. I got Canton.
Sorry. Okay, hold on. I was going to say this. Roster construction plays a big part in how I feel about trades a lot of times. So I will ask about roster construction sometimes. I have learned that Mark just wants it in a vacuum. So tonight will be pretty much all just in a vacuum moving forward. Okay.
If I have anything detail-wise, I'll give it to you. But most of the time, it's dot, and just pick your thing.
You will hear it tonight, viewers. I promise. You'll hear roster construction a lot from me.
Based on the roster construction, I'd go this way, but
Mark, that is the worst impersonation of me ever. Anyways, so the trade offer was Kendre Miller and you made me fucking forget Devontae Smith for Rashee Rice and Jackson and JSN.
Oh, that's easy. I don't even really care about the how the roster set up, anything like that. It's it's JSN and Rashee Rice. It's not even close.
100%.
I want both of those wide receivers over Devonta Smith in general.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And
When I got this user submit, I asked him about what his thought process was and why he decided to submit it. And he just basically said that the guy that was trying to sell him Devontae Smith was basically saying Devontae Smith was higher ranked than the other two, primarily because he's already done it. And
Sure.
I'm like, but the best player to me with the most upside in that is JSN. So, or Rashee Rice, even.
I was gonna say either one of them, you're pretty much equal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that was the user submit one that we had. I'll let you guys try to figure out who it is because it is from one of our leagues. So.
Oh, we have a league with 3 superflexes that have actual running back positions.
No, the owner is in one is in
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I was gonna say I don't. What league am I playing in that I don't know this?
I was confused too.
Yeah, no. I mean, either my league, if it has 3 super flexes, chances are the other 7 spots are all flex. So
Right. That's why I was highly confused. No, I mean you're getting younger at wide receiver. Devontae isn't old, but he's still has to be at least, I would say, 2 or 3 years older than those two.
Mm.
And I mean, Kendrick maybe is the starter this year, maybe he's not. You don't really know there. So that's a piece that's like not
It's like a throw in.
Yeah, and it's not it's on the wrong side. Kendrick should be with the other two. Like, yeah, and that's not.
I'd rather have
or something.
I just
the guy
didn't think
tied
it was
to Mahomes.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing for me was there was no, it wasn't a balanced offer to me. Like, I don't think Devontae Smith is worth those 2 guys, and especially when you're younger, and with how they looked. I mean, JSN came on pretty nicely towards the end of the year last year. So when he got the chance,
If you
it
asked
wasn't
me
great, but
whether I want Devontae and Kendrick for either one of those singly,
right,
I might still take the single wide receiver in that case.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because I mean, I think Jamal Williams is still there for another year, and Alvin Kamara is still there. So I mean,
exactly. I mean, I don't know if Jamal is. Because there
I
was a
don't
lot
know
of hype about Kendrick getting but that it's not like he's this like superstar running back coming out of college. Like they still
Right.
drafted him late to run the old Mark Ingram role. Hopefully.
Yeah. And obviously, I think it also depends on how they feel about their veterans with Jamal Williams and whatnot, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
really thought you were about to say roster construction.
No.
The way you said it depends on, I was like, oh boy, here we go already.
To this situation, I don't think roster construction even matters. Even if I desperately needed a running back, I'm not selling those 2 guys for that. So
not that running back.
No. So all right, well, let's get to the trades where I could say, but what about roster construction? I'm getting merch made up, guys. When we start when we start really taking off, I'm going to get merch made up, and one of it's going to say roster construction on it. I'm telling you.
That's all it has to say is that nothing
just
else.
Roster
just
construction.
Roster construction.
It might actually be the name brand of my line. It's just roster construction.
That's a good brand, I think.
Yeah. It's my brand.
Unreal.
Roster construction. Eli, you laugh, but you know damn well you'd rock a roster construction.
Oh, I'd wear that all around. Heck yeah. I mean, you're not
Sam,
wrong. It's just you constantly say it.
Yes,
yeah. A lot.
Sam, you hear that? Roster construction merch. Hit up the Shady Sports Network shop. It'll be there soon.
All right. Superflex 10 team.
Roster construction. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Possibly. Malik Neighbors and DK Metcalf or Joe Burrow.
Oh, boy. You said Superflex? And what?
Yes, it is Superflex.
Superflex? Okay.
10 team.
10 team.
10 team.
And Neighbors and DK and Burrow Superflex. A 10-team league. Chances are, in a 10-team league, in a Superflex, your quarterbacks are probably not going to be that bad. I side with Burrow here. I think that I would still want the quarterback out of this. I don't think DK strong enough, and Neighbors is too much of a question mark as a rookie. You don't really know what you're getting. I mean, obviously, upside and talent, we think what he could be. I just think for me, I think I would rather just have the quarterback in this situation, especially with it being super flex, and hold Burrow because I think you can get more for him.
My knee-jerk reaction was to say the wide receivers strictly because of it being a 10 team, and in one of my 10 teams, I arguably have the 2 strongest quarterbacks in the league, and I still didn't win a championship last year, right? So I struggle with overvaluing quarterbacks in a 10-team super flex a lot of the time, but that was knee-jerk, and to me, there's question marks with DK and Neighbors coming out as a rookie, so I think I'm gonna go Burrow.
So
Feels like a safer option.
I included this one because I was surprised about the poll results. And I think it's the sign of rookie fever a bit because that side was the winning side. It was 51-49. It's not a ginormous, but to me, I would think Burrow should win at least 60-40 because I think the biggest question mark is DK. It's most likely Geno for at least another year, we assume. But DK wasn't the happiest when it was Pete Carroll. Who's to say this new coach is gonna even like him? There was always talks of him being traded before. So I'm not a big DK fan anyway, so.
Well, I think also a lot of this too is Eli brings up a good point about overvaluing quarterbacks, and it's not something I thought of initially either because my initial reaction was the wide receiver side as well, but I had to think about it for a second. It's possible that they're viewing it from a 10 team standpoint. Because, I said, the quarterbacks are probably pretty well balanced throughout. I doubt there's very many that are carrying 5 really good ones. So, I mean,
but in my head, I also you could have a strong set of wide receiver, like running back is going to be, I think, where if I'm trading Joe Burrow, I need to get some kind of solid running back help with getting back to give up Joe Burrow. Because that's
or
where
less question marks on the wide receiver side.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, I just like because we are all 3 in a 10-team league. I think it comes more down to what running backs you have.
Yeah,
because there's so many wide receivers, you could have okay ones, but a good group of okay ones, and if your running backs are just blah, they're just going to drag you down. And there's so little of them anymore that it hurts you.
Especially considering most are minimum of 2 start running backs, so that's 20 automatic starters at running back position. So, plus you get all the other people that are factored in with flex and all that stuff. So, I mean, yeah.
All right. Next one is who would you rather have? 3 wide receiver edition.
Oh.
Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, back to Devonta Smith, and Brandon Ayuk.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought you could give me
3.
we
pick
3.
one of those 3.
Pick one of those 3. I thought the same thing you did. I thought it was 3 and 3. Okay.
No,
so it's
3.
For me in dynasty format, in any which way, shape, or form, it's Olave. I mean, I love Ayuk. Don't get me wrong, but we don't know what he's unhappy apparently in San Francisco. He doesn't want to be there, or at least that's what his body language and his actions are saying so far this offseason. So we don't even really know where he's going to go, and we don't even know if he's a true wide receiver 1, right? Like he hasn't really ever been the true 1 on his team. So we don't really know. He could go somewhere else and bomb out like Kenny Golladay did. And I'm not saying that he would by any means. I love Ayuk. And then Devontae, he's probably number 3 for me out of that list. So I would say Olave would be the guy I would choose off that list.
I've been Team Olave since the start, so Olave.
Yeah, I figured as much.
I would agree. It's Olave. X agrees with us. It's actually a quite big jump between the other 2. The other 2 are much closer than Olave is to the other ones. But age, I think it comes to age. Olave has shown he could do it. He's been very good, but he's also a lot younger than these 2 guys.
Right.
We're only we're only 2 seasons in, and even in those 2 seasons, he's shown lots of upside for an offense that's not great either. So
Right,
doing it
and with the suspect quarterback position as
very
well.
mediocre
So,
quarterback play the whole time.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So,
All right, another 10 team. This is a super flex tight end premium full PPR. This says contender trade. Not sure exactly what that's supposed to mean because it doesn't say who the contender is. But it would be Rashee Rice and the 105 or the 102.
I mean, if whoever's owning either one of those picks, it sounds like to me neither one of those teams are competing, so that doesn't make any sense to me. If it's a pick they traded for, then I could maybe say the 105 there. I think I would want the 105 and Rashee Rice. This would come down to a roster construction though, to full fledged.
I knew that was coming.
I think I'm going to start tallying and see how many we get for the night. Hold on, we're going.
But if you truly think about this though, from a standpoint, you would have to factor in roster construction here because the draft picks are involved, right? If you're trading Rashee Rice in the 105 and you're fine at quarterback, you can trade up to 102 to get Marvin Harrison Jr., right? Like you would be able to make that trade for Harrison Jr. But if you needed a quarterback, then the 102 would be the option that I would take. For me, it's 105 and Rashee Rice in a vacuum. So
one thing that I have focused on in trades the last couple of years, and it has made my teams better, is not overvaluing that 3-pick difference either, and valuing the ability to get 2 players, because I now have the opportunity to have a player on my bench that is of value versus this gamble on 1 pick and I lose Rashee Rice and the 105. Give me Rashee Rice in the 105 gamble over just the 102 gamble.
I also think that in this draft class too, it makes more sense because it's pretty well a consensus what the top 5-6 picks will probably end up being. I think JJ McCarthy is going to make it very interesting because if he does go in the top 5, we could see him move into the top 6 in fantasy drafts, for sure.
Brock is
so
also going to sneak in there at times, depending on the draft.
Yeah, depending on the draft, Brock Bowers will probably creep in there too. So that 3-pick difference to me doesn't make much of a difference because assuming that McCarthy doesn't go in the top 5, you're going to be looking at McCarthy, Neighbors, Bowers, Odunze, all there at 5, assuming that the top 4 picks are 3 quarterbacks and a wide receiver. So, I mean, what's the huge difference? And that's why I said the roster construction would come into play because of that reason there. So
I am actually going to disagree that I don't know that roster construction matters much.
It may not. It may not. You're right.
I think you just laid out why it won't. If McCarthy goes 4, so the quarterbacks go 1 to 4, you're ended up with Marvin Harrison Jr. And honestly, with Rashee Rice and Marvin Harrison Jr., you have pieces to go trade for even better quarterback than a possible rookie at 2.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah,
I think at that point you just sit. If you really need a quarterback, maybe you're hoping JJ or Drake or Jaden slips a little bit because somebody really wants Marvin, somebody really wants Brock, and they slide in, or you just you take. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna have JJ or Odunze or Neighbors to possibly take yourself then. So
I will say I've noticed that Rashee Rice seems to be a very hot piece in trade offers.
It makes sense.
People buying and people selling. Like it seems like he's a very hot trade commodity right now. So
to me, he's a much better sell because of where he's at. You're gonna get a lot for him.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I'd go out and buy him right now because you're gonna pay a premium price that you may not get back in actual points. So all right. 12-team Superflex tight end premium dynasty. Jay Jettas or the 102 and a projected early first in 25. So a first in 2025 and the 102 were Justin Jefferson.
only reason why I'm struggling with this is because the 102 could be Harrison or a much needed quarterback. So,
Or it could be a boat. It could be anything.
yeah,
We brought that up last week too, didn't we?
yeah,
The shiny thing could be a boat.
the kind of shiny thing could be a boat.
That
Uh,
was Eli likes to use that. That's why I pulled it last week.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Justin Jefferson just because he's the best player, best wide receiver option in the league right now. I know the quarterback situation is not the greatest, but I think that's only going to be a possible 1-year thing. But I don't think it will necessarily matter with Jefferson. I think he's very much like Nuke, where you can have 37 different quarterbacks and it won't matter for him. So I'm gonna stick with Justin Jefferson because I don't think that 2025 pick really does anything, and it's hard to project it as an early pick because
Hence why I said.
I mean,
like, you're getting Justin Jefferson. He could literally take the team from being in almost last place to just missing the playoffs just by himself.
Right. I will never understand that whole, like, it's an early projected pick, and it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, anything could happen in the season. So
I mean, yeah, but you could look at your team, and I mean, some teams you could say, oh yeah, that's gonna suck for at least another year.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you still never know with injuries and if somebody's active on the waiver
I've had
wire,
those
for sure.
teams.
So me too.
I've been able to
Return to the
tell
Empire.
I was going to be pretty early pick for 2 or 3 years.
Return to the Empire.
Yeah, I got one.
But on purpose. I did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eli.
2 for 1 is always my lean, except when it's trading a known high value player for picks. So Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. It's the 25 first that throws me off. What I do want to know is what is the latest pick this year it would take, like in the first round, for you to do that trade. So it was the 102 and then
107.
What first round? That's as far back. You'd go as far as 7.
I might do the 107 and 102 if I was trying to rebuild and moving Jefferson, and I have a chance at a top 2 quarterback and one of the guys at 7 that slips. I might make that. It's very close.
Top 7
roster construction. My team has to
suck. Top 7 would be. Ideally, I would want top 6.
Okay.
But with the 4th quarterback possibly sneaking into the top 7, I think I agree with Eli. I think 7 would be the absolute furthest back. 8, if I'm positive that Brock Bowers is going to go in the top 7. That would be the only thing that would
probably going in the top 7.
Well, he may, but he may not because McCarthy is creeping in, and you still have Neighbors and MJ and MHJ, and a lot of people actually have Roma Dunze ranked higher than Neighbors. So there is a possibility that Bowers could actually fall outside the top 7. But if I knew for sure that there was somebody that wanted Bowers and would take Bowers in the top 7, I think I would do 8. But I think my limit, my personal cutoff would probably be 7, like you said, Eli.
Okay, so let's say it was the 102 and the 107, and that 2 you take the quarterback, or do you take Harrison and then hope at 7 a quarterback is there, or you just take one of the other wide receivers that still are left?
Who are my quarterbacks?
You have
roster construction.
I'm marking it down.
I only said that because Eli mentioned the quarterback.
No,
okay?
You said I'm marking it down. You have Baker and Goff and Levis.
2 wide receivers.
Okay.
It's not ideal with Goff and Baker, but I think that they have teams and they're located in teams that believe in them for the next 2 to 3 years. And I think that I can get a quarterback in one of the next two drafts. And if I could walk out of here with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Neighbors or Marvin Harrison Jr. or Roma Dunze, or even Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Bowers, I'm going to take it all day.
Yeah,
I had a team not make the finals with the number 1 and number 2 scoring quarterbacks last year in a super flex.
my point in that is, do you take the chance on missing on a wide receiver by taking the quarterback? Like, are you looking to supplement Jefferson with Harrison more than a quarterback? Is
I
that
want Harrison.
would that be the better play, even if your quarterbacks were trash? Let's say you don't even have really any real good
I mean,
starting quarterback.
to be honest with you, if I was to make that move and trade Jefferson, chances are I would probably want to take 2 wide receivers to supplement Jefferson, regardless of my quarterbacks, and primarily just because at that point, if you're going to trade a commodity like Jefferson, you need to supplement him with 2 players that you can plug and play, and not take a risk on quarterback that seems to fail at a higher rate than wide receiver in the first round, at least recently.
Eli?
Yeah, because I'm going to look at it as, even if those 2 wide receivers have down rookie years compared to what I would expect to get from Jefferson, my team's already in rough shape.
Right.
I'm looking at an early pick next year.
For a quarterback, possibly. Yeah,
For a quarterback,
that's kind of my thought if you're doing that 107.
Roster construction.
Yeah.
I'm going to start marking it down for every single time you guys say it now, and then we can tally up at the end.
Okay.
Who said it the most?
All right, not a trade question. Will a rookie wide receiver finish in the top 5 of wide receivers for the 2024 season?
No. Not based on landing spot where they're going to possibly land up. I say no. The only way that I could see it is if Neighbors went to the Chargers and Justin Jefferson and Greg Roman somehow realized that Greg Roman's offense sucks, and not Justin Jefferson, Justin Herbert, and Herbert just throws the ball. Otherwise, no. There's just no. I don't see MHJ in Arizona if that's where he lands as a possible top 5, just because they don't have anything else there. And Roma Dunze going to whoever picks at 7.
He's linked to the Giants. He's linked to the Bears.
Yeah,
I think the Giants are going quarterback. So
I'm just saying, like, when you progress through,
and the Bears definitely not, because they have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen now. So there's any wide receiver that goes to the Bears.
They
absolutely
probably
not.
Go wide receiver.
So
they still might go wide receiver, but they might not. But that was before.
Yeah. So I think landing spot would be a big spot for that, but I don't see it at all. I say no, not in the top 5. Not in the top 5.
Eli?
Don't see it.
Top 10?
Top 10 I can see. Maybe top 10, top 12.
I still don't see a top 10.
No?
No. Top 15 possibly, but top 10, no.
I think Marvin would have a strong case because Arizona is very limited.
Based on volume, for sure, yeah, absolutely. But
right.
That offense still needs to be good to be able to get the opportunities.
Correct.
If you have a bunch of 3 outs,
is 100% a no.
Top 5 is too.
Yeah.
10 I think is you're pushing a good case for probably Neighbors or Marvin for top 10, 12 area.
I think they could hover around there for sure, but top 12 is probably a lot more feasible than top 10. I know it's only 2 spots, but
all right, 1 quarterback, full PPR. You start 8 players, no tight end premium.
People still play 1 quarterback? Okay.
They do. Jaden Reed or the 201 and 207?
Reed.
I was waiting for you to say something else, but Reed.
Reed.
I'll take Reed over 2 second rounders.
The 201 is an intriguing spot, because unless Trey Benson lands in a really good spot and does get drafted in the 2nd round, I could see him being available around there. And if
in a 1 quarterback?
Even in a 1 quarterback, yeah, because with all the wide receivers that are going to go ahead of him.
Well, that's my point. A lot of people are going to shift forward because those 3 to 4 quarterbacks.
Well, you got to figure
go ahead of them,
but you got to figure Caleb will probably still go in the 1st round, just because there's only some boneheads that takes a quarterback in the 1st.
But again, that's 1 instead of 4.
Right. But even with that though, and we keep talking about the top 3, but there is still at least 3 other wide receivers, maybe 4, that could go in this 1st round too. So you're talking Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin,
everything's going to shift so far forward. I don't think the 201 and a 1 quarterback is as valuable for a player like this.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think that I would still want it. It would just be a matter of if I felt Trey Benson was going to get there, but I don't think Trey Benson will be there at 201. So
I don't know how big the league is.
That's the other thing that sucks. If it's a 10-team league, then that's a different story. But I mean, yeah. Anyways, I still want Jaden Reed though. I don't want the 201 and 207 there.
In a 1 quarterback, Eli, you're agreeing, I guess, with that.
Yeah, Jaden Reed.
Does Superflex make it any closer?
No, not really to me.
Not for me. And the only reason why is because I think after that 201 spot, I think it's like maybe 202, and then there's, I think to me it's like it's a pretty good drop off.
Okay.
So
like I'm not saying that Jaden Reed is a for sure hit again, but again, the 201 is the most valuable piece that I'm getting back. The 207 I don't care as much about. So I just don't think it's
right.
worth it.
And that's the thing is like 201, I mean, if Brian Thomas is there at 201, that looks fine. But then at 207, are you going to Brian Thomas and Ladd McConkey?
I mean,
Brian Thomas and you know what I mean? Like,
I'd have a hard time believing, especially in 1 quarterback, Brian Thomas would be there. In a super flex, it could be close.
You said super flex. I was talking about super flex, Mark.
Yeah, I asked
you
the
mentioned the super
question.
flex. Yeah,
but I'm just saying, like, even in a super flex, him being there is close, even in that sense, just because of the hype he's getting now.
Yeah, it may be like an Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin section, like, and that to me doesn't and that doesn't make it as exciting to me. So
after Brian Thomas, that's when I think the wide receivers start to get a little murkier to me. A.D. Mitchell, 1 great season, but like, okay, 1 great season. Keon Coleman, big guy, but like, are we going to be able to separate? Are we going to be able to, Xavier Worthy, real fast, but man, is he
drop issues
small and drop issues, but he's small.
Kadarius Toney, 2.0. I like Xavier Worthy, but everything about him screams Kadarius Toney to me. So
the person lists their wide receivers. I honestly don't think it makes much of a difference to me. If you want to hear who his wide receivers are that he owns already, he's the guy that owns Reed, but he's got Justin Jefferson, Drake London, Evans, Hopkins, Burks, and Reed. I honestly don't think that changes anything.
No.
In that sense. All right. 12-team Superflex, full PPR, no tight end premium. And it is important because there is a tight end in this trade. Hawkinson or Tank Dell?
Full tight end premium? Like, are we talking
no tight end premium?
Oh, no tight end premium.
None.
Tank Dell.
I'm gonna say Tank, and it's not that I'm necessarily struggling with it, like, because it's close. It's just I have my reservations about Tank, so it makes me a little nervous with his size and the injury already happening. And to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sold that Houston's not going to bring in another wide receiver. So
that's my thought. But then my other side of that is okay, so we're looking at Sam Darnold or a rookie. So that's a question mark.
Right.
Plus coming off of an injury, another question mark. Plus it's a tight end who's starting to get I mean, he's not old, but I think he's closing in on 30, which isn't a terrible thing for tight ends, but injury.
I think he's like 25, isn't he?
Is he that young?
I don't think
I was thinking like 28.
But...
I mean, I don't think he's that old. He was traded on. He is
26.
He's 26. Yeah.
Okay, so
26. Yeah.
But
I mean, he's a good tight end, and I'm gonna go Hawkinson because I really think Houston adds a wide receiver, whether it's trading for T. Higgins or drafting someone at later in that draft. I really think, and whether it be next year, I don't know that Tank is a long-term dynasty asset because I feel like a lot of last year was volume. It was him, Nico, and until Tank got hurt, that's when Dalton Schultz came on.
Right.
He wasn't doing anything before that. So,
Right.
All right. Speaking of Nico Collins, this is a 12-team superflex. That's all I know.
Okay.
Nico Collins or Jaden Reed, the 209 and a 25-second.
Reed. That's easy.
Okay.
That's easy to me, just because I feel like Houston is going to bring in a wide receiver, and depending on who that wide receiver is, I think it could hurt Nico just as much as it hurts Tank. So, and you get 2 seconds out of the deal. I don't know if you're going to get more value for Nico than that. Like I don't see his value going up above that. So I take Reed in the 2 seconds. I don't even think twice about that. That's a smash accept for me.
It's a tough one for me on both sides.
I love Nico. I love Nico moving forward. It's just if Houston does add a receiver, it worries me a little bit. I don't think Green Bay's adding a receiver, so Reed I think is secure in his spot. And even if you add 2 seconds, it still gives you ammo for a potential hit. So I'm curious, where before Eli answers this, where did he have Collins and where did he have Reed on his top?
So
20,
neither
24.
one of you had Reed in your top 24. I was the only one. You took Dobbs.
Right.
Eli, I don't think you had any of them of the 3.
No, I had him at I had Reed, I think, outside of a couple spots outside.
Yeah, I had Reed.
Yeah, I'm just saying I don't think you had any of the 3 of those Green Bay wide receivers in your top 24. I think you left all of them off yours. I had Reed in mine. Mike had Dobbs, and then I don't think you had any of them as part of it because you were like they're all just going to eat each other. They're all kind of grouped.
I had Reed at
I couldn't make
27.
that call there.
I think I read at 27, 28.
Michael,
around.
you had Nico at 14, and Eli, you had him at 11.
Yeah, I'm going Nico here.
So that's I mean, obviously this was January when we did that. Things changed with free agency draft, but who in the draft would they add, Michael, that would drop Nico that far that he'd get closer to Reed?
I think he's the alpha there. I think
this isn't a concern about dropping him in my rankings as much as it is just him getting a player like T. Higgins, a player like, I mean, if Houston, they traded their second first, so to Minnesota, so they still only have that 1 first. I don't know what pick they're at though.
They're 27, I believe. They're right after Tampa because they have.
So they traded the Cleveland pick.
Wait, yes,
they traded because they traded 23. So
pick, I believe. And
okay, so that late in the draft, I mean, I don't know if there was really anybody there other than maybe Brian Thomas that could maybe make me kind of go, those are similar players. But through the draft, I don't think there's anybody. But if they did make a trade and add like a T. Higgins or I just think they're gonna make a splash somewhere. They're gonna try to add somebody, and I'm afraid it's gonna be Higgins.
Or Ayuk or Higgins probably are the 2 wide receivers look to be traded at this point.
But my other thing is too at this point, the reason why I said Reed as a smash accept is because you're also getting the 2 seconds. Now I know the 209 isn't exactly studly or anything by any means. But I think that if you can add more ammo and you have a guy that's like Jaden Reed who's rising and a guy like Nico who's probably plateaued, I don't think you're going to get more value for Nico. Like, I don't think you're ever going to get a first unless it's just a flat out first and it's like 112 for a guy like Nico. It's not because I don't like him. It's just I don't think you're going to get, a first plus. And here you're getting a top 50 player from last year's draft on a young team with a young wide receiving core that's building rapport with his quarterback, and you can add 2 seconds that give you ammo. I mean, granted, it's not pretty, but give you ammo to possibly hit. And if you could walk away with 2 players that hit compared to Nico, like Eli was saying, you are hitting 2 out of 3 and giving up 1 player in the process. So I just think that if it was just Jaden in a second, I'd probably go Nico's side. But just getting that other second, I think, is just just enough for me to hit smash accept on that.
So I think for me, it's whether or not I think that, not so much looking ahead as much, but I guess for Reed, yes. But do I think Reed can equal Nico last year? Or do I think there's a higher chance Nico can stay in that range of even top 15? That's where I'm leaning Nico.
So let's just see where they kind of finished, because they both, I believe, played. Nico, I knew he missed a few games, and obviously with that Packers offense, it didn't fully get going. So Nico finished at 10, at least in this league's setup, scoring wise. Reed finished at 26, again on an offense with so not like the craziest gap between them. I think for me, something Eli said before, Nico is the alpha in that scenario of probably that whole thing there. At 2.9, I think it's a little too late for me. If that second was probably 5 or above, it's probably an easy Jaden Reed, because I have a better chance of getting a better wide receiver. That 25 second is just so unknown. I mean, you're at 2.9, so if that's your team and that's where that pick is now, unless it's just going to get really bad, you're probably looking at a late second again.
Okay, so let me ask this question then, from a different standpoint, from a different perspective. Do both of you think that Nico will ever improve on what he did last year?
Better than a top 10?
Do you think that he'll ever go above a top 10?
No, but I mean,
do you think Jaden Reed? Do you think Jaden Reed could ever get to a top 10?
See, I struggle with that right there. I feel like Nico's got a higher probability of staying in that top 15 range. Even top 15 to 10, I don't care about that difference that much, honestly.
As long as Daubs, Reed, and I am blanking on the third one.
Watson?
Wicks.
No. Is
Wicks.
it Wicks?
Dontavian Wicks.
Wicks and Watson, as long as those are all in the mix together, it's hard for any of them for me to say they're going to be a top 15, top 10 wide receiver.
Okay.
If they were to, hone in on one of them being their guy, and then, in a couple years when contracts are going to come up and they're going to sign someone, and that's the guy that sticks around, at that point, sure. But I mean, that's such a 2 to 3 year thing from now. Who knows what we're looking at in those scenarios? So I think Nico could stay there. Right. I think Nico could stay where he is, where I think it's hard with that other team. Even if you add a T. Higgins.
I think he could too. I think that if you add a T. Higgins and you have Nico and you have Tank Dell there, you're in the same boat as Green Bay's wide receivers. And you're saying Nico stays where he is, but you're saying that Jaden can't reach where Nico is. That's what that's all I wanted. I don't care if it's true or not. It's just
I don't think I think as highly as Tank Dell as I probably do of Daubs and Watson and Wicks as a group.
No, that's fine. I wanted to know where your heads were at that with that, because that would be the only thing that I think that would cause me to, to question whether or not, Reed and Nico's ever, closing the gap, and whether or not Reed would ever pass Nico. I love Nico. I had him at 14. I mean, he wouldn't change. He doesn't change for me. I just think that if I could get the 2-for-1 out of those 3 ammo pieces, I'm going to take that over Nico. because I still don't know if Nico is a true alpha in general in the fantasy community as a whole, right? Like we still don't know that. He's had 1 year, so
All right.
that's my only
Superflex.
thought process with that one. So
Superflex 10 team. So another 10 teamer. Superflex. 4-point passing, and it is a PPR league. CJ Stroud or Brock Purdy and the 104. So you're still getting a quarterback, possibly a second quarterback, or a top rookie wide receiver, but rookie wide receiver.
Oh man, this is probably the most difficult one you've done so far. Eli, do you have thoughts? You can go first by all means, because I'm still.
I love Stroud. So I so badly want to say Stroud. But I think I would take Purdy and that 104. I just think it's a better deal.
I think in this year's draft class, that 104 is probably going to outweigh other draft classes in the past, just because of the potential of what you're going to see there, right? Like Marvin Harrison, Neighbors,
right.
Jaden Daniels, McCarthy, May, like they're all in that range there. So, I slightly lean Purdy in the 104 too. It's tough because Stroud's the best piece in there. So
by far,
yes. Well, see, I don't know if I agree by far, because what I think about is both quarterbacks are quite young, both on teams with different roster construction. San Francisco's an older, trying to win it all right now with older pieces. Houston's a younger, but not as proven pieces who played really well last year.
Yeah.
I think I lean Brock Purdy because of that 104. I think it just really comes down to how much belief you would have in CJ Stroud to outperform Brock Purdy over the next 10 years. Because age really doesn't come into question for either one of them. The biggest difference is draft capital.
Right.
But I think at this point, San Francisco is going to say, we don't care about that, and they're going to give him a big contract. He's outside of a huge injury this year. So that 104 just makes such a big difference because I don't think Stroud and Purdy are that far apart overall.
Yeah,
and Brock Purdy finished higher than Stroud this last season.
Yeah.
Touchdowns was a big difference. Why? But
right. But
I mean, that's part of the game.
Right. I mean, Stroud is obviously still more of an ascending than Purdy. Purdy's probably plateaued around where he's going to be, type of thing.
I mean, that we know of right now. I mean, he could he could turn into Tom Brady for all we know.
Sure. I just, that 104, I think, makes the biggest difference because of how valuable that piece could be. Like, you could be looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. and Brock Purdy.
Right. That's what I mean. Like,
just CJ Stroud.
That's why I lean to 104 and Purdy slightly.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I mean it's super. I mean it's close. It's close, but that 104 I think really opens that gap on that side. But I mean, some people are like CJ Stroud believers and think he's going to be the guy. I think at some point. I just don't know if he'll ever be that good. That good. All right, 12-team Superflex. Full PPR, tight end premium. So the whole gambit. Jamar Chase or two rookies in Malik Neighbors and Brock Bowers. So what we could probably say is maybe pick 104 and pick 107. Or 105 and 107. Something. 105, 108, somewhere around there.
Chase. If you were going to tell me like Neighbors and Odunze or Neighbors and Marvin Harrison, then maybe
if it's Bowers in there,
maybe we can talk. But tight end's so hard, especially rookie tight end, because it takes so long to develop, even in tight end premium leagues. Like Sam Laporta, it was a unicorn this year. Like we don't really see that from rookie tight ends at all. So anytime that you get the tight end hype like you get with Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta shows that you don't need that hype per se, right? He was a second round pick, was not a first round pick. How many first round tight ends have hit in the last few years? And we went through that and couldn't really figure it out, right? Like first round tight ends generally just do not hit. You might get a couple good looking stats like Pitt's 1,000-yard season, Eric Ebron's receptions, but then you look at Ebron's drops, you know what I mean? Like so Hawkinson even didn't get really going, until he kind of like, towards the tail end of his Detroit career and then in Minnesota.
4 years in. Yeah.
Right. So even though the idea is that Bowers is going to be so sensational, and he very well may end up being, you have to wait. And I don't want to wait. And I think I'd rather have Chase there in that situation.
Same. Give me Chase. I'm not even a big Chase fan, but I'll take Chase there.
I just don't think Chase is close enough to Neighbors that Bowers is going to bridge that gap on any level, no matter if you sign rookie numbers to it or not. Like,
does the amount of tight end premium change the answer? If it was, let's say, a 2-point extra, so you would getting 3 points per reception.
Oh, you're saying 2? No, that's still
2 extra.
We're looking at. Yeah, no, I'm saying okay. So, like, just trying to think of
how many receptions did Laporta have last year? Let's start there. How many receptions did Laporta? Let's use Laporta as the baseline, because Laporta was the first rookie tight end that really had a year like that. Like other than that,
86.
rookie tight ends, he had 86. Okay, so if it was 3 points per reception at 86, you'd have to obviously consider it. Because
that would, with receptions alone, he is scoring the same as like Justin Herbert and Justin Fields.
Right, like that's an insane amount of bonus points for tight end.
I agree, but it's out there. It's not like it's an unknown
thing. Yeah, for sure.
It's rare, but it's still a thing.
Yeah, I just think that if that was to happen, that would be the only thing that would maybe consider it.
Okay, that's I agree with that. That would have to be probably how premium it is to bridge that gap. I think even 1.5 doesn't fully pull it in enough for me.
I don't think 2 does either.
I think I would do it with that one. If you mean 2 points total, or
2 points total? 2 points total.
Sorry, when I say 1.5, I mean a 1.5 extra.
For the tight end. 2.5 then.
Yeah, they would be getting 2.5 per reception. Yeah. I wonder. So, and honestly, it's partially Neighbors. He's also a rookie. Yes, he has hype. Yes, I believe he's going to be a great wide receiver. But we don't know. We've seen Chase do it. So I will take that over the possibility I get maybe Chase and Brock Bowers turns into something also. Like if it was another wide receiver like that's. Oh, like I don't want to say Amon-Ra, but not like Garrett maybe or Waddle. I think that pulls it a lot closer.
Yeah, and it goes back to the same thing that I was just saying. I mean, unless it was like Marvin Harrison and Neighbors or Marvin Harrison and Odunze.
Yeah, that changes
the
whole thing.
That would change the whole thing, in my opinion, because I mean, like you can't. Even if you assigned numbers to it, I still think it's too much of a risk to trade Jamar Chase, in my opinion. And Eli said it himself. He's not that much of a Chase guy. Chase was a little further down on his list than the rest of us. But when I say a little further down, I mean, I think he was like down at 12, wasn't he? 10, 12.
Jamar Chase?
Didn't Eli have Chase down around 10, 11, 12?
4?
Range? Who was it that he had down that far? Oh, I think maybe I'm thinking of the quarterbacks.
Burrow, he had like almost
it was Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, and he didn't even have Trevor Lawrence on.
Trevor Lawrence wasn't on that one. No, Burrow.
It was his quarterbacks. I'm thinking of. That's right.
Oh, poor Lawrence got forgotten.
Yes, poor Lawrence. Burrow was down at 10.
10. That's what it was. Okay, so I knew it was a Bengal, but yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So okay. 12 team, 1 QB though, full PPR. Jameson Williams, 205 and 303. Which side?
Wait, is it Jameson Williams or 205 and 303?
Yeah, Jameson Williams or the 205 and 303.
I'd probably.
So pretty much this person's looking for what's a price check on Jameson Williams at this point?
See, that's that's hard because I still believe in Jameson Williams. It's just we need to see him get integrated in that offense. I'd probably take the picks though.
Yeah, taking the 205 and 303.
Yeah, it's just well, it's one quarterback, so maybe not. No, I wouldn't. It's one quarterback. I wouldn't. No, I'm taking Jameson Williams there. I think I'm gonna hold on.
Yeah,
I think I would hold Jameson Williams is the best way to put it. I think I would hold Jameson Williams in that case.
I don't think there's enough value there to trade him. At that point, I will throw him on my bench over some other random player on the waiver wire.
Superflex would be the only way that I would consider it.
So that pulls it closer for you. Does it pull it closer for you, Eli?
I don't know if it does enough. Even it just 205.
The only way that it would really
struggle with those picks, like to really give away a player that I have any confidence in. I don't even like Jameson Williams that much, and I'd still like.
The only reason why I would pull it a little bit closer for me is primarily because I think if another quarterback sneaks into the end of the first round, in the NFL draft, I think we could see a quarterback skyrocket into that before the 205.
Sure.
So I think that if that happens within the first, what would that be? That's the 16 picks or so. That you could have one of those other wide receivers maybe slide down a little bit, and maybe the second running back slide down a little bit. So I think that would probably be the only thing that would do it for me, possibly. But that would be the reason why I would only be a little bit closer. But I think I would still probably side with Jameson Williams. It's just the 205. I don't think you're going to have better value with Jameson unless he really, really shows out next year. That's the only thing.
I think one of the big things that has me choose Jameson in this sense is Josh Reynolds did not get re-signed.
Right, correct. Same. Sadly.
I think that's some faith. Well, maybe they'll draft somebody, and that whole faith will go out the door. But I think that's faith in them saying he can be our 2/3 target kind of guy. 4 if you want to include Gibbs in there.
I think this trade would be easier next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we'd have a better understanding of where Jameson's going to be in that offense. So,
all right, another 10-team Superflex tight end premium full PPR. You are starting 9, so 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 2 flex, and then tight end, quarterback, Superflex. Okay. Anthony Richardson and CeeDee Lamb, or Mahomes, Keenan Allen, and Godwin.
Anthony Richardson, CeeDee Lamb,
or Mahomes, Keenan Allen, and Godwin.
Oh, Mahomes side. Even if you're getting older,
yeah.
I think you take the top quarterback or top 2 quarterback in the league and run with it.
Honestly, Mahomes for Richardson and Lamb is like close for me. So I don't really.
Right.
I'm getting give me Mahomes.
That's the one time that I don't care that I'm getting older.
So this one does give actually a little roster construction. I wanted to hear your answer before I gave it to you. So this is another one that lists as a contender trade, but a little bit more sense of what makes them a contender. So the quarterbacks, so the person trading Mahomes owns Mahomes. Like this person asking the question owns Mahomes. It's Mahomes, Jordan Love, Derek Carr, and Daniel Jones. They also have Drake London, Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill, Jaden Reed, Keenan Allen, and Godwin.
I didn't even need to hear any of that other one. You could have just mentioned the quarterbacks alone. those quarterbacks plus Anthony Richardson is significantly worse than those quarterbacks plus Patrick Mahomes. And
I
that's
agree.
not a knock. That's not a knock on Anthony Richardson. It's just I don't think he's going to get to the Mahomes caliber. Like you're not
and I
going to get
don't
there.
think CD makes that much of a difference for
Right.
this season because this is clearly a contender team. Those
Right.
wide receivers make you contender. I don't think CD makes a huge difference, but not as much in if Anthony Richardson gets injured again, what you're getting from Mahomes compared to Anthony Richardson.
Right.
Anthony Richardson and CD's side could be like the mega part of this deal in 2 or 3 years. But at this point with that team, with the fact that you could win it all this season, you keep what you have.
Well, that and also Anthony Richardson, if he gets hurt again, I mean, there's not outside the realm of the possibility the Colts pull a Trey Lance.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying,
you know what I mean?
With
Like
that team, you are in a win now mode with this because those wide receivers are getting older, and I get trying to get CeeDee Lamb to get younger.
But even if I was in a win now mode, I don't think I would. Even if I wasn't, I don't think I'm making that trade just because those quarterbacks are significantly worse with an unproven commodity in Anthony Richardson than they are with Patrick Mahomes because Mahomes is still fairly young.
I agree,
Like,
but
Mahomes
I
is
think
not
I'm taking
old.
CD there to get rid of Keenan and Godwin because I'm not sure I'm getting much better in that sense. If I'm rebuilding,
I mean, if it's a full-fledged rebuild, then you better be getting something more from Mahomes. That's my point. It's not
but
it's
remember,
not Godwin and Allen in this trade. It's literally Mahomes in this trade.
I understand.
You have
that.
the top 2 quarterback, and if all you're getting back is Anthony Richardson and CeeDee Lamb, you're not doing it right.
See, you're not doing. I don't
right.
look at it as that far apart for me. But I also had Mahomes at 3,
and you also had Richardson higher, I think, than all of us did too.
I had him at 12. Michael, no, Michael, you had him at 11, and
okay, that's right. We were right around there. That's right. Never mind.
Eli had him at 14, so we're all close. I mean, my caveat with Richardson was he could go skyrocketing up this list or drop off of it. So I don't disagree with you. What I'm saying is if I'm in a rebuild, I'm taking Richardson and Lamb for Lamb because I don't. For me at this point, Mahomes is a winner. I'm not sure if it's almost like having Tom Brady, where you were going to have these great years and then you're going to have these down years. Richardson's upside is just so much higher, in my opinion, because of what he could be. I'm taking CD over Keenan and Godwin because I don't know that I'm getting anything for Keenan and Godwin.
Yeah,
anymore.
but I'm not including Mahomes in that, though. That's the thing. Like, I literally need more from Mahomes. Those 2 pieces are not going to make me move Mahomes. Mahomes is the top 2, top 3 interchangeable quarterback in fantasy football across the board. Like, if Richardson happens to get there, that's a different story. But, I mean, that's a huge uphill climb for him. I mean, like we talked about Josh Allen, a little while ago. Like, Josh Allen, nobody expected that. That hill was so steep that nobody thought for sure that we would be talking about Josh Allen in the top 3, let alone number 1. And he got there, but that does not mean that everybody that comes out that is in the same boat is going to do that, like, at all. So I would need something more. I would at least need another piece out of that for me to feel comfortable to trade Mahomes there. The other 2 I don't care about at that point if I'm rebuilding, but I would need something a little bit more back. I don't think I just don't think Lamb's value is that close to Mahomes, and I don't think it's enough of a bridge between Richardson and Mahomes, even if it's 1 and 11 on my list. It's too much risk.
12-team PPR in need of a running back. That's what this says. James Cook and a 25-second or the 107.
In need of a running back. I'm holding the 107. And I'll tell you why. Because once you're on the clock, that pick becomes so much more valuable.
Agreed.
I love James Cook. I'm a big James Cook fan. But once you're on that clock and the draft doesn't go how you think it's going to go inside that top 6, those trade offers are going to come in knowing you need a running back.
Eli?
This is a situation to me where you could drop back a couple times in this draft.
Maybe.
You did say Superflex, right? Don't know.
Doesn't list it.
I mean,
But,
obviously,
I'm assuming Superflex at this point just
Yeah.
because it's the norm. So if not, then
What was the other pick?
25 seconds.
James Cook. 25
25 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not a
25
big
seconds.
fan
I was
of
thinking
saying I
205.
need a position.
Yeah, I'm holding 107. Yeah.
So 107 because somebody's going to get desperate, like you said. Or I trade back, get a couple of picks, and running backs aren't going to be going off the board until early second. So maybe I double up on some dart throw running backs over James Cook. I don't know.
Well, that's what I was thinking too. At 107, the guys around 110, 111, 112 start getting a little desperate. They want to go get that guy because he's sliding. You make that trade back there, and then it's possible that no running backs go there. You could trade a back even further from there to get another pick out of the deal or get another player out of the deal and go to like 202, 203. And the next thing you know, you're staring at Trey Benson in the face in the early second, or
And you might still get a 25-second out of it.
Right, or Jonathan Brooks, or one of the other running backs that would play Corum if you're high on Corum. So I think that is a better strategy than just downright trading out James Cook and for the 25 seconds. So
yeah,
I honestly don't care how need and running back I am, and I love James Cook. He's not worth the 107 in this draft.
No.
The wide receiver that I'm most likely going to get has just so much more upside that even if I get no offers, I got to take a pick there. Just so much more upside.
Yep.
That I could probably trade that wide receiver for James Cook plus a first if it came down to it. So much more. So
if you really wanted to patchwork it together, you could trade a second or a third for Chase Brown, or one of these guys that's going to be in a role play position that's going to see the field and still, Jerome Ford. You could probably sell out a second for Jerome Ford. Like, there's no.
James Cook just isn't worth it to me in that scenario.
To be honest with you, I don't think I'm trading any first for a running back that's not named Bijan or Brees.
Gibbs?
I don't know. Maybe Gibbs, but it would be the back half of the first. It'd have to be like 110 to 112 range.
Okay. I included this one because people must hate Trevor Lawrence.
Isn't that just me?
We had a guy
just you.
We had a guy completely forget about him. So yeah.
So Superflex tight end premium, Trevor Lawrence and the 310, or a 25 mid first. Again, I don't know how we know it's mid, but 25 first and the 109.
I mean, that's
Is
Trevor
Superflex?
Lawrence.
Yes.
That's Trevor Lawrence for me.
I'm holding Lawrence.
I honestly don't think it's close. Like I looked at this and went 109. Like I could see maybe 105. It's a conversation.
I mean, are my other quarterbacks Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and
roster construction?
You know what I mean? Like roster construction.
Even then, I don't care. I could probably get so much more if I just trade one of them away and keep Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, that's not
even. And the poll it's at least on Trevor's side, but it's 62-38. It's the sign of how rookie fever.
Rookie fever, and what have you done for? And what have you done for me lately?
The shiny
boat
hurt
last year,
and you got hurt. Yeah, the shiny boat and you got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, Michael, you brought up Cincinnati's Chase Brown. They signed Zach Moss.
Another guy you could probably get like a late second, third up for.
Right. And this question is, do you think he could be a top 15 running back with them? Do you think he's a serviceable running back too? He's only a bye week filler. They're going to draft a running back, so he's going to be nothing.
I think in Cincinnati's case, he is going to end up being a spot start.
So bye week filler.
A bye week filler. I think Cincinnati still drafts a guy. It's just going to be a matter of who that is. If it's one of the top 3 running backs, it could very well completely make Moss obsolete, or it could make Chase Brown obsolete, and Moss plays the same role he did in Indianapolis. I think what people are looking at here is they're looking at what he did in absence of Jonathan Taylor. They're not looking at what he did when Jonathan Taylor was there. So if Chase Brown is the guy in Cincinnati, then is he going to be able to replicate in a new system with a new offensive line what Joe Mixon did for that team last year? I
don't think people are looking at Chase Brown as anything. That's one of the things that goes along with this.
And it's very possible that they may not be looking at Chase Brown as something, but Chase Brown flashed last year.
And I think they also see that there was one game where Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor both had like blow-up games in the same game, and then nobody heard from Zach Moss the rest of the season.
Right.
But like they're like, oh, look what he did with Jonathan Taylor. And without him. But like, look what he did.
Yeah. But also volume-based, too, because they had quarterback issues as well. So,
Eli, top 15, RB2, serviceable, bye-week filler. They draft a guy, and he's nothing.
He's in that serviceable to bye-week filler range. Like, when I say serviceable, that is like I'm throwing him into my second flex spot because I don't have somebody else worth starting.
So that's more of a bye-week filler than that. I think that leans towards just because, like you said, you don't have somebody. So if you were to get somebody, he'd fall out of.
Well, I call him a spot start because if he does have a favorable matchup and he's somewhat producing,
I still call that a bye-week filler.
I think you could start him in there regardless.
Same idea as a bye-week filler. It's you're looking at him and somebody else on his level, going, okay, who do I think has a better week? That's the way you're coming to. To me, a serviceable RB2 is he's probably 90% of the time locked into your second round.
I don't think Zach Moss is the starter in Cincinnati either, though. I think that's Chase Moss. I think that's Chase Brown's. I think that's Chase Brown's job.
I mean, that in your sense, then it's almost like they draft a running back because they go with Chase Brown over Zach Moss. That's
correct.
That's kind of the idea, I think, of that part of the question. So, yeah, for me, he's probably I mean, if he's my RB2, like for sure RB2, I probably don't have a good team. That's what I look at that. My running backs are pretty terrible.
My return to the Empire team.
All right. 2 QB dynasty, not Superflex, 2 quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown and the 110 or 25 first.
Wait, what?
I mean, I don't know why we get told it's a 2 quarterback dynasty. I don't know why it makes difference.
And you said Amon-Ra St. Brown and the 110?
Or the 110 and a 25 first.
Oh, Amon-Ra.
I thought
that's not even close. That's literally
not.
No.
And again, I don't know why
Amon-Ra in the 110.
That's what I thought too. In 2025
first. I was like, wait a minute, we are like way up.
But still, I don't.
Amon-Ra.
I get it, the 2 quarterback, and maybe your 25 first ends up being the 101, but it's still Amon-Ra St. Brown.
We're projecting that now. Okay.
I wouldn't even care if it was the 101.
I'm just saying.
I wouldn't even care if it was the 101. I'm still taking Amon-Ra St. Brown. I do not care.
Amon-Ra.
It does not bother me one bit. I do not care.
I look at it, go, the 2 quarterback part. Are you really trying to sway people with the 110 in a 2? Like, sure, 5 quarterbacks go, but I'm looking at the 5th best wide receiver in that sense still. So it's not even like I'm looking at Marvin Harrison or Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze.
I was saying in that sense, you're looking at the 5th best quarterback or the 5th best wide receiver in that situation.
Right.
And if only 4 quarterbacks go, you're looking at the 6th best wide receiver,
or still the 5th with Brock Bowers, whatever. But like, that 110 is not moving the 2 quarterback needle
It's the best tight end. You're looking at the best tight end. That's why.
You're looking at the best tight end.
You're looking at the best tight end in 10.
For the 12% who voted that way, that must be why they chose that one.
It had to have been. Yeah, it had to be because of Brock Bowers for sure.
12 quarterback. Or sorry, 12 team.
Quarterback.
12 quarterback. That could be a fun league. If I play with 3 people, but 12, that could be. The 3 of us can make that league.
A 12 super flex start?
Not super flex, then you can start other guys. It has to be 12 quarterbacks.
Oh, a 12 quarterback start league.
Right.
Okay.
It's only quarterbacks.
No, we got to make it a 12-team league, though.
I mean, I was in that 20-team league. That was.
I don't care.
144 quarterbacks we have to start.
144 quarterbacks, yeah. You better be including some other leagues. Football leagues in this sense here. So if we're doing a mega fantasy,
the LFA, the indoor football
CFL,
league, the NAL,
you better bring all those in if we're doing a 12-team, 12 quarterback start.
Oh, maybe I could put together a platform. Maybe we should do that. It'll be a year-round league.
You'd have to because they pretty much flow right into each other. And
well, the NFL playoffs will cut it off because then you can take that break.
Well, to me, you'll end around January for everything, and that'll be the end of the.
Yep.
And then you start again in March, so you get about 2 to 3 months of figuring out what your 12th quarterback spot's going to look like on your team.
Eli, we have an app up already. Let's throw this together.
My God.
All right.
Could you imagine?
So this person is very detail oriented in their question.
Roster construction.
And they really want you to know that it is not a superflex league. So they list in here 12-team, 1 quarterback, non-PPR. In the actual poll part, they list the pieces and then in parentheses on both options, not superflex. Not superflex. So they really want people to understand that this is a 1 quarterback trade. Standard scoring.
I was going to say standard score. Why did you even include this? For you listeners out there, for the listeners out there that are still with us, standard scoring, stop it.
Hey, you might have like a league that's been around for
standard
like 30
scoring
years.
is PPR. You can tell us that it's non-PPR.
No. He did. He wrote non-PPR. He writes non-PPR.
But that's what I'm saying. Don't call it standard. Standard is PPR.
No. He didn't do it. I'm calling it standard because that's what it is. So it's Jonathan Taylor and the 202, not Superflex, for Drake London and the 106, not Superflex. Jonathan Taylor, 202, Drake London, and the 106.
Give me JT.
Points per reception.
It's a JT. JT said. The 106 is intriguing enough but you're looking at the 6th best wide receiver there because or maybe 5th best if Bowers goes.
Right.
And with no PPR scoring in a standard format, unless you happen to get the 1 tight end dependent wide receiver out of that ordeal, it's not really worth it. How awful is that? How awful are those rookie picks after like the top 3? None of them hold much value after that. Like, it's so bad.
So,
like, I would consider taking Trey Benson at like 105 in a league like that, to be honest with you.
Oh, I mean, running backs will go up higher because of the fact that it's non-PPR. Eli, I'm assuming you are on the Jonathan Taylor side also.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor side. The running back.
What I don't understand is why this person brought this question up, because they do include some of their roster construction in this. They are the owner of Jonathan Taylor. They also own Devon A-Chain and Kendra Miller. Those are their running backs. So your running backs aren't that great. You do have a really good one, possibly a really good one, and a meh one. Your wide receivers in a, again, non-PPR league are Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton, and this person owns the 102. So they are taking Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. They put Neighbors or MHJ. If you somehow can get Marvin Harrison Jr. as the second pick in a one quarterback league, kudos to you. But why are you even considering having Drake London and maybe Trey Benson as the 106 pick over Jonathan Taylor?
Makes no sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Like this shouldn't even be in consideration. You shouldn't have even wasted the time to type this entire thing out. And yet people clearly don't read the details because it's 77% on the side of taking Drake London in the 106.
Holy crap.
Rookie fever, man. 106.
But
at 106.
No, I didn't read any of that top part. I only read the freaking and this is why people include not Superflex in the options because people clearly don't read the details.
Yeah. That's literally just scrolling through and seeing the options and just clicking it. That's really all that is.
But
sure,
because
in a regular PPR league, that would be. I would possibly think about London and the 106.
I would take it if it was a Superflex PPR league.
Oh,
not
yeah.
Superflex. No. He made sure not Superflex. Even if you thought this,
I understand. But what I'm saying is if my brain, if I'm scrolling and my brain is Superflex and PPR is the standard league structure now, and I just look at that and see that, I'm taking Drake London the 106 as a Superflex and PPR.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm taking that just in general. One quarterback 106, different story. But like if I'm just looking at that from a standards perspective and I'm just scrolling, then that's what I'm doing, and that's what it sounds like.
But this is my PSA to our listeners. I don't disagree that you could use Twitter/X as a platform to answer questions, get help.
Correct.
But please understand that it's not the end all be all.
Yep.
Try and get help from actual fantasy analysts on this app because this is the kind of thing that's going to kill your team. Jonathan Taylor in a standard league might be better than Bijan or Brees in a standard league because of how many touches running the ball he'll get compared to those guys. That's another part of this. Okay. Rookies. I want to hear which of these teams you would prefer. Okay? So Team A, you're getting Caleb Williams, Braylon Allen, Rome Odunze, and Brian Thomas Jr. So Team B is Drake May, Blake Corum, Malik Neighbors, and Xavier Worthy. The final team is Jaden Daniels, Trey Benson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Troy Franklin. Now, for me, the way I look at this is Team C is getting the best running back wide receiver. Team A gets the best combo of wide receivers. And in my opinion, at this point, Team B gets the best quarterback.
Okay, so Team A, give me the rundown one more time.
Caleb, Braylon Allen, Odunze, and Thomas Jr.
Okay. Team B?
May, Corum, Neighbors, Worthy.
And Team C?
Daniels, Benson, MHJ, and Troy Franklin.
Team C?
I cannot go with, I love Drake May. I like Corum, but Worthy's whatever on that one. I'm going C as well because I want Marvin Harrison Jr. over most of those other players by a long shot, and I'll take the upside of Jaden Daniels and Benson.
Best running back, best wide receiver.
Correct.
And a quarterback that could end up being the best quarterback.
Sure, but I mean,
I'm going
down that way.
Troy Franklin is not a
and Troy Franklin's no slouch
either.
So
I though will take Team A because of those two wide receivers. Because C is the second best choice, and it's very close to Team A. I think Team B is very far off, and I love Drake May, and I like Malik Neighbors. But for me, Blake Corum and Xavier Worthy dragged that team down so far compared to the other teams. I don't think those two can make up the difference because I don't think Caleb, Drake, and Jaden are that far apart themselves. I don't look at any of those three and go, I have to have that guy. I like Drake May better, but he's not like way off. Braylon Allen, Blake Corum, Trey Benson could all be the best running back in this draft, depending on who drafts them.
I don't even
Trey
have
Benson to me is the best.
I don't even have Braylon Allen in my top 3 running backs. So
sure,
that's what ruins Team A for me.
If the Cowboys draft him,
I don't care.
Minnesota drafts them. See, I disagree. There's situations with.
I just don't think I don't think Braylon Allen's a good running back though. I just don't think
I don't
he's a good
look at him
running
as
back.
that bad. I think I'd rather Braylon Allen over Blake Corum, depending on where they go.
I mean, sure. But I mean, that's just because to me it's a two horse race. Like
I don't disagree.
It's Benson and Brooks to me, and that's it. Like,
to me, Rome and Thomas are so much better duo than Harrison and Franklin.
Here's the thing with Franklin, though. I think Franklin's going to get the draft capital, and I think he's going to. And I think there's a very high potential. He is going to land in Pittsburgh.
And that could then if that happens, that changes for me. But at this point, I don't view him the same way I view those other two guys, and that's what makes the difference in all of this is those two players on that one.
I get it. No, I get it.
I get it.
I don't know if I can give up Mike and Harrison there.
Yeah, for you two, it's the same thing. It's Benson and Harrison. Those two.
It's Benson and Harrison.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I just think that Jaden. I think Jaden Daniels may, and the other.
And I love Odunze.
Yeah, and I love Odunze too. I like Brian Thomas a lot too.
I'm not saying
the other thing. The other thing for me is too in this case is Jaden Daniels. I think is much closer to Caleb Williams than I think a lot of people realize. It's the same with Drake May, and I primarily say that because I think that there is a lot of red flags surrounding Caleb, and I think those red flags are being ignored because it's Caleb Williams. It's Caleb Williams. Like sure. if you listen to any of it and you watch it and you look at the red, it's Caleb Williams. Leave that guy alone. Oh, it's Caleb Williams. Leave that guy alone. But it was all the same red flag. Well, not the same red flags, but right. Yeah. All the red flags that pop up on the quarterbacks. Oh, it's Jamarcus Russell. Leave him alone. Oh, it's Zach Wilson. Leave him alone. Like it's just you see this every year, and you're I'm not concerned. Oh, I'm not concerned. Oh, I'm not Ryan Leaf. Oh, I'm not concerned about and what happens. You know what I mean? Like so. That's
Leaf
the
is
other
next level story.
but I'm just saying though. But that was the case though. Like San Diego completely ignored the red flags, and
I mean
the Colts didn't. The Colts literally said that the only reason why they took Peyton over Ryan Leaf was because something wasn't right in the interview with Ryan Leaf.
Sure, but I mean, looking at even those two in college, Peyton Manning was the right choice no matter what. I don't know. Leaf to me wasn't that great of a quarterback compared to Peyton Manning.
The Colts had Leaf. The Colts had Leafs rated higher than him, though. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for that interview, and they did not ignore those red flags, they ended up with Peyton Manning there at 1.
I don't disagree with anything you said. It's to me though, Caleb and Jaden aren't far enough apart. Braylon and Benson aren't far enough apart.
See, they're far enough apart for me.
Yeah, Rome and Marvin aren't far enough apart to where Brian Thomas and for me, Troy Franklin at this point are the furthest from each other in that sense.
Do you think it's because because you don't think Franklin's going to be a first round pick, or what is it? You just don't like Franklin? What's the?
Yeah, not a big fan. His frame, he's very lanky. Drops in college, so and I mean he wasn't like prolific. Even with a Bo Nix and who else was the wide receiver there? Like, name me another wide receiver there. But you could say that, but Bo Nix had numbers while at Oregon.
Yeah, of course.
He put up
I know
stats.
I know.
But Troy Franklin was never like this, like huge. Like he just, for me, it's like maybe.
Okay, that's fair.
Maybe
I was just curious. I didn't know what it was, because I'm not a huge Franklin guy myself, but I do think he's going to get a first round draft capital, and I think
so does
Pittsburgh.
Xavier Worthy, and that doesn't give me.
Yeah,
all that.
I don't know if Worthy's going to have first round draft capital now, though.
He might not. Who knows? But
I mean, Kansas City signing
Hollywood
changes things for me a little bit.
Sure, but then you could also look at the Bills taking Xavier Worthy as their speedster to go along with Diggs.
Oh, but they got Mac Hollins in his 16 receptions to be their wide receiver too.
Yep.
They don't need
exactly.
Yeah, they don't. How many more you got these, Mark? We're 9:30. We're about an hour and a half into this. Is there?
I have a few more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we continue, I just want to take a moment here, guys, since this is a fantasy show. I want to give a shout out to Mark Hogan and FantasyGurus.com. They do daily fantasy. If you guys do not follow this site or this individual person on Twitter or X, you really should, especially if you play daily fantasy, because I tell you what, right now the dude is legit. And if you want to start turning around and making some good money on DFS, hit him up. He does everything from UFL to NASCAR to baseball to the guy is brilliant. It's intelligent. His Twitter handle is at DFS_Marlin. By all means, go ahead and hit him up and give him the like, follow, hit that notification button, because he will help you with your DFS lineups, and you might start making some money with him. So I just wanted to give you a shout out to him since it's a fantasy show. We've had him on the UFL show, Spring Football Reports, which comes back this Saturday as well at 9 p.m. Eastern. And he's intelligent and brilliant and love listening to him talk. So just want to give him a quick shout out.
All right. I include this one because this could be a really good one to look at. It's a 12-team Superflex, and it's start 11, so a bigger roster. They don't list what the 11 starters are. I'm going to assume it's probably just a normal Superflex, because they don't put 3 quarterback or anything like that. CJ Stroud or Anthony Richardson and the 104.
Richardson,
a lot of 104s today, so I think that shows kind of where people are.
Richardson and the 104 for me. It's not as easy as I made it sound with the answer. It's just you're getting a top 4, a potential at Marvin Harrison Jr. or Malik Neighbors to add to Anthony Richardson, which, like you were talking about earlier, with the upside being so high, he's much closer to CJ Stroud in this trade, and the 104 to me is enough for me to make that move and feel comfortable with it. So, and it's a possibility, if you're worried about injury history, you could take a second quarterback there at 104. So, you said it was super flex, right? So, yeah. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. This is the 2-to-1 thing that Eli was talking about. So,
Eli,
I think I'm going
you're the
Richardson.
Highest on Stroud, I believe.
I'm the highest on
rankings.
Stroud, but I had Richardson.
You had him at 14, 12. I believe. I think you had him at 14.
But Fields was ahead of him at that time, so then that'll obviously change.
So that changes, obviously. Right. So.
But then also we didn't have no Trevor Lawrence, so that might not change. He might stay at 14. Maybe you meant to put Lawrence in the Field spot.
Yeah, I think I'm going Richardson in the 104. Again, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the type of guy that if I can add him to a team, I'm all for it. Richardson's got upside. Really, really high upside. Richardson in the 104. Yeah, I'm not going to ask about roster construction because it would depend a little bit, but
it's tough.
Fine.
But I'd have to go with the 104 because you're getting possibly 2 high-end pieces to where Stroud could, be a top 10 guy for a while, but 10 could also be his plateau type area. So That 104, I think, makes a difference. How far, does 105 change your mind at all, or does it have to go a little bit further than that?
I think
I
I would
think-
need the one. I think the 104 is far back as I would go.
So 104 is
Just
it.
because
105
that's-
wouldn't get it for you.
I don't think so, because that 104 is where I've got the best shot at one of the
A
four
wide
players
receiver.
I'm looking
Okay.
at,
Yeah.
Marvin or a quarterback that slides out of those top three guys.
I
Okay.
think I could do 105, but I think it would be a lot harder for me to think about it. 105 would be the one spot where I would have to obviously consider my rosters, like Eli said, just because at that point, that's if I was a little bit stronger with a quarterback,
I'm marking
then
it down.
that's fine. You can do that. I think the 105, because you're looking at wide receiver 2 or quarterback 3 there. And if you have a stronger roster, I think that's okay. If you have a little bit weaker roster, the 104 I think is where I'd want to be. So 105 iffy, but that's where we get into the conversation of roster construction in comparison to the 104. I think in a vacuum, 104 and Jaden's fine, or Anthony Richardson is fine.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Eli. You're getting the first option at 104 of which one you'd prefer. Where at 105, you're being left with of what's left. So like, if it's the third quarterback, you're just getting left with the third quarterback. If it's the second wide receiver, you're getting left with the second wide receiver. Where at 104, you're choosing that for yourself. You're making that decision. So I could see.
Right, or if I get to that spot and Harrison's gone and I'm left with, I mean, that's the hard part, is you're left with, so Harrison goes, you're left choosing between Drake May or Daniels
Or Neighbors.
Or
potentially,
Neighbors. Or Rome.
or Neighbor, like,
Or Rome.
right, that's the thing.
But you get to choose it. You get to
Exactly.
choose
Like,
it instead of it being chosen kind of for you.
Like,
But
if I feel at that moment that I want to double up quarterback there, I got Anthony Richardson and Jaden Daniels, potentially two very high upside quarterbacks compared to Stroud, who I think is incredible. The main reason I have him ranked so high is because of his age on a team that's building
longevity.
to where
Okay.
I've got longevity. Yes. But in this situation, I'm potentially getting two high upside quarterbacks with longevity. So it's, 104.
There's a little price check on Josh Downs. If you were offered a 26 first for Josh Downs, would you take the first or you keep Josh Downs?
26 first. A 26 first?
A 26 first. So 2 years out.
In a vacuum?
Just write it down.
I'm marking that down.
Well, you have to consider your roster in this situation. In a vacuum, yeah, I guess take it. I mean, it's a long wait on a guy that might turn it around this year in Indianapolis. I mean, but I mean, if I'm weaker at wide receiver, though, I'm holding Downs. So,
Eli?
you have to include that. That's one thing you can't just really go up into a vacuum.
I'm just gonna take the pick. I'm not a big Downs fan, so just give me the pick.
Yeah, it's really tough because I like Josh Downs. I just don't know. Like Indianapolis and
I'm never
back.
getting a first for him ever again, no matter how far out it is or what first round pick it is, if he doesn't explode. So give me the
right. That's kind of where I'm at. Like, he's not going to ever be the guy. He's not built that way.
No.
So a first.
I don't care if it's the 112.
Well, right. It's still first, and that's the thing.
It's just so far out for me.
And
that's
You're
my
gonna
problem.
quit the league? Are you gonna quit the league, Michael? Are you gonna quit that league?
I don't quit leagues like that for reasons like that. It's just, I'm just saying, it's so far out. Like it's a 2 year wait, and if Downs explodes
trade
next
it.
year,
You trade it for a 25. Like, it's an asset.
no, yeah, for sure,
rather-
yeah, it's an asset for sure. But I just
It's a really shiny boat.
that
I mean,
very.
it could be the 101.
It could be.
It could be the 101.
It could be a
101.
it could be a duck. We don't know. Like
But
it
I
might
mean,
be a it might be a
Josh Downs
velociraptor.
might be a duck. So
Right. I honestly think, and I understand what you're saying, Michael, but I really honestly think with Josh Downs,
Yeah. No, I that's why I said I'm taking the pick. I
getting
think,
something that could be really high is just more valuable.
yeah, for sure, absolutely. I don't disagree with that. I mean, if I got a 2026 first, I'm taking Donovan Duck at 101. So it's where I'm going with it. Like, no, I think that with future picks like that, it's a little more. Those are a little more like you have to have a game plan driven aspect of it than it's just really like on the fly. Let me just do this because Nico Collins in his first 2 years, nobody expected to be where he was. You know what I mean? Like nobody expected Nico Collins to be where he was last year. So you take a look at some of these guys and the 1 year that they do it and then they don't look back type of situation. If Josh Downs happens to mold himself into a really good wide receiver too with Michael Pittman and Anthony Richardson, that's a young core on a young team. And in 2 years, you're looking at getting the 111 and it's a shitty draft class and you're going, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, so I know there's a lot of ifs in it, but you have to take it into consideration when you're making moves like this.
Ifs
that
either
far out.
side.
I think
Right.
Either side's a big if.
Right.
Like we're having all these conversations. We're talking Josh Downs, well under 6 foot, right? Like we're not talking about a guy that I necessarily
5'10",
feel
5'11", I mean,
ish. Is that what he
I think
actually?
he's fine.
What's he
I think-
actually?
I think- I
What's
think
he?
it was
What's
like-
he?
I think he was 5'10", but he's skinny. He's only
He's skinny. He's
he's only
5'9", 171. So he's actually not as skinny as I thought he was for 5'9".
Oh, he is not, yeah. Oh, he's 5'9". For some reason, I thought he was 5'10", like
That's what Sleeper has him
185.
as. But
Oh, okay. So he is smaller than I thought he was.
He might have been listed at
Exactly.
5'10", 185 at North Carolina.
That's true.
Yeah, 5'9", 171. So like that's where I'm like, is there a chance? But we're talking like not even a juiced up Steve Smith at this point. Like, I don't know that. I give me the pick. Give me the pick.
It's honestly us talking about it so much. It's the upside of getting the 101. I'm taking that at that point for that guy.
Well, right, yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm taking the pick
For
anyways.
Donovan Duck.
For Donovan Duck. Like I said, I'm taking the pick either way. I think for me, I'd have to consider other factors, but I'm still taking the pick. Anytime you can get a first for a player that's a fringe player like that, you want it. The only way that I wouldn't do that if it was like a 2029 first.
All right, last one with our most favorite position on this show here.
Punter?
Tight end. No, we would actually like punters. Let's put some punters in leagues.
Yeah, let's put some punters in leagues. I actually play in a league with punters.
Done that before.
Yeah,
we did. Yeah,
I still do.
And there was a glitch in it, and Saquon Barkley was getting me points for punting.
I forgot that even happened. It was something
no, it was the fact that somehow running backs were getting like negative points for punts.
Yeah, it was flea.
But like if you were really good running back, you didn't get the negative point. Like it was like
it's flea flicker for you. That's why
it was flea flicker though. You're right. All right, tight ends. You own Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, T.J. Hawkinson, and David Njoku. Who are you? So you have to keep 2 and you have to trade 2.
You have to?
You have to.
Why?
Have to.
Because I'm telling you, you have to.
You're adding that spec to the whole thing?
Yeah, because what else you want to talk about? Which one you like? We're not ranking them. We ranked our tight ends already.
Yeah, I would sell them all.
Exactly. You have to keep 2. You have to keep 2.
That's why he's 20%.
You have to trade 2.
Oh, come on. All right, so it was Kincaid,
Pitts, Hawk, Njoku.
Okay, trade Njoku and Pitts. Get rid of them. Move them on. You're going to get more back for Hawk, and you're going to get more back for Kincaid, but I'd rather keep those two and move on from the other two, because Pitts will still net you something pretty nice, and somebody might fall for the Njoku trap. So go trade those two. Trade them. Just get them off your roster. Keep the other two, because at least that way you have a positional advantage at a position that doesn't fucking matter. So just go do it.
If I've been holding Pitts this long, I'm keeping Pitts because I'm not trading him at that undervalue. I will trade Hawkinson and Njoku, and I will keep Pitts and Kincaid.
Stop wasting roster spots on Pitts. Just move on from him already. Get what you can for him. Move on.
I don't disagree, and I don't have him anywhere. And there's a reason I don't have him anywhere.
I have him in like one league.
But this person does.
Yeah.
So keep Kincaid because of age, upside. Keep Pitts because of low value. Trade Hawk and capitalize on what Njoku did last year now.
Yes.
Yeah, Njoku for sure. Njoku's 100%. I just get Pitts off your roster. Why waste the roster spot?
But
why waste the roster spot?
Why? Right, like
why? You're trading?
I think
Hawkinson
Pitts is a better athlete than Hawkinson, so there's still upside potential there for me.
Okay, but Hawkinson was Mark's #1 rated tight end. Eli, where was Hawk on your tight end list?
He wasn't here for it, but let me know where you had him, where you would have him.
Oh, okay, because Hawk was my number 2. So or
no,
number 3. Number 3?
4.
Oh, 4, right. So he was in my top 5 either way. So he was in my top 5. So why? Just why? Why get rid of him? Why not just keep him as he's going to put up, for the most part, you would imagine, wide receiver flex numbers, where Kyle Pitts is not going to even be eligible to be a spot start for you, most likely, because he's garbage.
We don't know that.
He sucks.
I agree with
that. God, he's awful.
I don't agree with that, because he's got a new coach, a new quarterback, a new system. He's finally in the league a few years. I don't know that.
Exactly.
I don't care if you want to trade Kincaid or Hawk. I'm trading one of those two.
Get rid of him. Keep Hawk.
I mean, hold on.
Only 23.
If you're gonna give me
I don't care if he was
really
21.
good deal for Kyle Pitts, I'll trade him. But I'm not where this person drafted Kyle Pitts. I can guarantee you're not getting any type of value out of them. And I think with Kirk Cousins, he could have a better season. And if he doesn't, then whatever. You have a tight end that you're going to cut next year.
Oh yeah, awesome! So you completely wasted a spot all year long when you could have had Hawk, who you could have started in the flex spot. Like,
and maybe I got something great for Hawkinson.
Oh, maybe you did. Maybe you got that.
I'm gonna get more for Hawkinson than I'm gonna get for Pitts.
No, unless you find a Pitts lover.
Leagues,
apparently you could trade Pitts to Eli right now with the way he's
talking about Pitts. Now you're putting words in his mouth. No. We're not gonna do that.
I mean, you can send me an offer if you got him anywhere.
Okay. Jokes aside,
first league
I'm picking Pitts up for a third-round pick. I'm doing that.
Jokes aside, yes, I understand the logic behind moving Hawkinson if you have Hawkinson and Kincaid. I understand that and whatnot, and I understand. It's just, for me, even with Pitts' age and whatever else, I just don't know if I want to waste the roster spot, even with Cousins coming in. I just don't feel like you're going to get there. In this situation, I would be more apt to move Hawk and Pitts than I would any of that, because at least in Njoku, it could be a little bit better of a safety net that doesn't fall out the bottom like Pitts could be. Assuming, of course, that Cleveland, because Cleveland is losing their offensive, they did lose their offensive coordinator. Flacco's no longer there. It's Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
And they traded for Jerry Jeudy. So there is a possibility that you don't have that. But the Jerry Jeudy trade being in Cleveland could be good enough to make that move. Now, if it was me, I'm selling all 4 of them and getting what I can.
That.
Because I don't want any of them. I will roll out Dalton Schultz and get.
You have to start one.
I will roll out Dalton Schultz. I don't care.
Okay. I mean, honestly, trading all 4 of them isn't a terrible idea, because you're going to get probably a tight end back That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
somewhere along the lines you're going to get
in a
tight end.
package for them.
I just
But
I
I'm making you keep
understand the
two of them.
Hawkinson move. Kyle Pitts is not somebody I want on my roster because I just feel like he's wasting a spot.
Thank you
I
for
don't
this
feel
one,
like he's
Mark.
wasting a spot.
Thank you for this one, Mark. It is.
And I had Pitts ranked 8th. I had Pitts in my top 10.
Hey, you know how many leagues I have with
7.
Hawkinson?
Oh, 7.
You're
Sorry,
at 7.
whatever. 7. Yeah.
I have 2 leagues with Pitts, and one of them I didn't draft the team. I took over.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm at 0.
I have Pitts in.
Of
I have
any
Pitts.
teams I
I
have.
think I have Pitts in 2 spots, and it was the same thing. It was teams that I took. No, I drafted him in one, and I took him in, and I took over.
Oh,
a
look
team
at
in
you
the other.
drafting Kyle Pitts.
Drafted him where?
Oh, it was in a startup.
Rookie.
It was
rookie.
no,
Okay.
it wasn't a rookie draft. It was a startup. So
Yeah. Okay. That's totally
it
different.
was a little further down. It was a little further down. It was after his rookie year, so it was a little further down. And the only reason why I took him was because I wanted to do something a little bit different with that team and try something different for a strategy. And I ended up with the 101 the following year, so it worked out real well. Yeah, it was awesome.
Hey,
That
what
was
is
a
what?
great
I
question there,
still
Mark.
own Dane Evans in a league, and I'm pretty sure I don't own Kyle Pitts anywhere.
Well, I think you own Dane Evans in the league because Dane Evans is a Devy player.
Is he a Devy player now?
Yeah, Dane Evans is in the CFL.
Oh, you know, I'm thinking
He's
of.
a
I'm thinking of what's the running back? What was
Chris
the running back's
Evans?
name?
Chris
No.
Evans?
No, the dude from Appalachian State.
Dane Cook?
Good comedian. Not a running back.
Are you talking about Evans?
From Darrington Evans?
There you go. That's who I was thinking of. When I said the name,
Oh.
that's the person I was thinking of.
Darrington Evans.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I am not. If I own Kyle Pitts, sure. If you got him late in the startup, I could totally understand moving him because you're going to probably get more value even now because of the upside that he's kind of bringing.
Yeah.
I just don't think if you got him where you got him either as a rookie or after year 1, now is not the time to move him.
So let me ask you this question then, because I understand the strategy behind moving Hawk and Njoku or Hawk and Pitts based upon whatever combination you want to keep. Why wouldn't you want to move Kincaid and Njoku, or Kincaid and Pitts and keep Hawk? Because if Hawk is your first tight end specifically, and Kincaid is looking like he's going to be a top 3, hypothetically, obviously, a top 2 to 3 dynasty tight end asset. Why wouldn't you want to make that move instead? And why would you want it to be Hawk per se?
Kincaid's younger.
I understand that,
and on an offense that's.
But tight end age doesn't necessarily matter as much, though.
Maybe not ascending as much, but there's, I mean, other than Kincaid and Diggs, there's nothing else around them. Matt Collins with his 16 receptions doesn't. Right, but even a rookie wide receiver doesn't worry me with Kincaid and the way Allen started relying on him.
Yeah.
Hawk has Sam Darnold / a rookie, depending on who that rookie is. I don't know. I had Kincaid at number 3 already.
Yeah.
And Hawk at 1. So for me, I don't look at them as that far apart. I get a couple extra years with Kincaid with Josh Allen. I get however many years with Sam Darnold. I get however many years with J.J. McCarthy. I get however many years with Bo Nix, Michael Penix. It's too much unknown there compared to Kincaid. I also think I would get more for Hawkinson because I think his name carries more in the fantasy community right now than Kincaid does overall.
Oh, that's
but
fair.
I'm floating the two of them, and I'm selling to whichever one gets me a better price.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Those two are the best options out of all of those. I just if I'm getting the same price, I'm going to keep the younger guy.
Makes sense. No, and
especially again when I have him at 3.
And obviously my Pitts rant was obviously just extreme, just fucking around. I understand the Pitts appeal just because he is getting Kirk Cousins. The offense is going to be a little bit different. We're not looking at the same, Arthur Smith run offense that's going to be down there. So you never know what you're going to get by any means. for sure. So I do understand possibly wanting to keep Pitts
If
as
I
well.
own
I
him,
did,
I'm hoping they have a wonderful 4 or 5 game
and
start and
trade him in season. That's where I was going with it, and trade him in season.
trade him.
Yeah.
Eli, you have your tight end rankings there that you want to give me your top 10 quick?
I do not have them in front of me.
I didn't think so.
I thought I had
don't
them
know.
in my thing here, but I obviously didn't do them.
We only
I
did
mean-
them because we forced each other to. So
Yeah. So what Eli did was he just made a list of all Trevor Lawrences at the tight end position. That's what he
Yeah,
did.
10
Yeah.
true.
10,
I mean-
10
Went
Trevor
by
Lawrences.
the quality of their hair.
Yeah.
quality of their hair, I like that.
Hey, real quick without looking it up, Eli, how old is Jonnu Smith?
26.
Jesus Christ, Mark, how old is Jonnu Smith?
I'd say 29.
Jesus Christ, I was the only person that thought he was like 33. Like, dude is 28. Like, I literally thought he was like in his 30s.
I mean,
I thought
I
he
can
came
see
into
it.
the league pretty young, so
I
He-
feel like
he's
he's
been
been
in the-
around forever, though.
He's
but
been in the league for 7 years, but I feel like I feel like he's like 33 and he's not. He's 28.
well,
I was just
that's because he played in New England for a year, and that ages you 6 years for being on that team since Tom Brady left. So like,
well,
Tom
it's
Brady,
because
Tom Brady left, and they went, well, we're just going to keep bringing in these tight ends and making them irrelevant now that we don't have a quarterback to throw them the ball.
I was having
or
a discussion
an
with
offensive coordinator.
Daryl. I was having a discussion with Daryl. One of his teams, he has Jonnu Smith at the tight end position. He was like, "Well, at least I got Jonnu Smith," and I'm like, "Why?
At
Dude's like
least you
30
have Jonnu Smith.
I was like, "Dude's 30," because he's the only tight end in Miami right now. So I was like, "Dude's like
Oh,
33,"
okay.
and he's like, "No, he's not." And I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "He's 33," and he's like, "No, he's 28." I'm like,
That's not the most
"Oh,
surprising
yeah."
thing of that.
And that came out of Daryl's mouth. I know. Yeah.
But like,
Well, that too.
he's the only tight end in Miami, but yet sleeper lists Durham Smythe ahead of him on the depth chart that they have on here, and
Yeah.
Miami might have thrown 5 passes to a tight end last season.
It was Jonnu Smith and like I don't even remember who the other tight
Holy
end
crap,
was.
Durham Smythe had 35 receptions last year.
35.
Wow.
He had 19 more than Mac Hollins.
You're right, but if you would have asked me if Durham Smythe had 35 receptions last year, definitely wouldn't have told you that.
The over under would have been all right. All right, guys. That was a little fun there at the end there with the Kyle Pitts talk.
That was great.
Sell your tight ends. They suck. All of them. Don't ever let somebody corner you into keeping 2 and selling 2.
That's why
Eli,
you
you missed this, Eli. You know you missed
I
us.
do.
You know you missed this. This was a fun 2 hours, guys. 2-hour
It
show.
was.
It flew.
Yeah.
I didn't expect it to go 2 hours. Anything else? Anybody else want to say anything before we sign off here from?
The draft is almost here.
True.
So excited.
Mark, you need to work on that jingle.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Okay, work on that. We'll have a new song for you next week. Are we going to do this next week? What are we doing next week? What do our viewers want to hear for us for next week? Do we know?
We might have to start getting the rookies because it actually is getting.
It's getting really close.
We are into April, and either the end of April or early May is the draft. So
End of April.
Next Thursday is my anniversary. So
maybe we won't do it.
Happy
next Thursday
anniversary.
oh, thank you. Don't worry, I have my girl, so we can do something.
then? Okay.
My birthday's the day after.
Ooh.
Yeah, I turned 27 this year. I'm on that Jonnu Smith time crunch.
How many years now is this of you turning 27?
7, just like Jonnu Smith. 7 years in the league.
Okay.
He's 28. Yep. So 7 years of me being 27. Yeah. Do you honestly don't know my age?
No, I do. I just wanted to.
So,
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
I was
It's
like,
a
oh.
joke. How many years have you been turning 27? Like that's a
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I stopped aging at 27.
Right. Yeah. Correct.
Yeah, clearly.
Hair color
You know.
didn't, but you did.
Oh, my hair color was already turning white when I was like 22, man. So it's fine. Not this bad, but I mean, it was starting to turn white when I was 22. So yeah, it runs in my family. My papa was salt and pepper when he was like 24. So all right, now that everybody, all the viewers out there don't care about my personal hair color, it's awesome. Gotta get that. What is it? Just for Men.
Yeah, that's one of them.
Get that Just for Men. Yeah, comb it in. Yeah. All right. That's going to do it for us here at the Dynasty Academy. I'm Michael Washington, Mark Onks, Eli Manuel. Thank you again to Shady Sports Network for giving us a platform to do this. Go ahead and follow DFS_Marlin on Twitter and X, and hit up the fantasygurus.com site if you guys want to get into DFS, get a little bit of strategy, maybe make some money. They're worth it. And until then, class is dismissed.